You're listening. You're listening to Oasis Sounds.
It could be water.
Now that we have prepped and applied our decal, it is time to start gemming. So for this particular cup, we are going to be using the crystal clear stacker. Now, if you've ever watched one of my videos, you know that I love to work out of my trays. So I have my crystal clear tray here. This is every size that is included in your stacker. I will just be working out of the tray because I just love how convenient they are. All the tops just stay up. You don't have to really force anything. It's so convenient. It really is. So this is our crystal clear tray. I will be using a wax pickup pen as well. As you can see, mine has been used very much. However, it is still going strong. And then of course our precision tip bottle filled with my Aleene's Liquid Fusion, and I will be using the pink 16 gauge tip. Let's get started. So I said I was going to be using the wax pickup pen. I lied, sorry. I'm going to be using my precision tip tweezers. When I am working out of my tray, I prefer to use the tweezers. What I do is I just dab it in the glue, use it to pick up the stone and place the stone on the decal. I typically always use my tweezers when working on decals, and then I'll jump to the pen when I start working on the body of the cup. So I'm not going to be doing the entire decal with you guys. I'm actually just going to do this filigree portion here on screen, and then I'll do the rest off screen just to make sure that this tutorial is not too long, because the main focus really is just gemming out the body of the cup. If you are needing a tutorial on how to do decals, I do have my most recent tutorial where I did the decal, the thing 100% on screen, and you do see close-ups of the decal at the end so you can see how the rhinestones look on top of the vinyl. Alright, so let's just get started here. Like I said, I'm using my precision tip bottle with the 16 gauge tip. And it really is as simple as putting a small thin coat of glue on top of the decal. And you do want to make sure it is thin. And simply place your stones. Now occasionally you'll see me dab my stone on the decal. That's just me basically getting more glue to pick up more stones. And if it seems like I'm doing this a bit awkwardly, it's because I'm gonna be honest, it's a little difficult for me to do decals at this angle because the decal is not facing me. But I'm gonna make it work. What do you think so far? I think this is going to be a beautiful cup. What I'm doing here, I'm really just pressing the stones down into the glue because I want to make sure that they stick. All right, time to do the rest of this decal. I am going to speed it up here, but let's go.
I'm not going home anymore. Too much a gal in the middle now. If that looking real nice so far, I need a shot of Hennessy, some kind of rum in my system. Don't want to end up being left out of the big yard. Ooh, people, fed in the moonlight. Wine away, we blessing sure. Take a wine with me, baby. Take down the cups away from me. I just love soca music and to jump with everyone. Carnival in Trinidad, you can meet your long lost pal.
Okay, so what I'm about to do here is I'm going to grab my Tanzanite filler kit and I am going to fill in right here where I need Tanzanite stones. And the reason I'm going to do that now is because I want to do it while these stones are wet so that they can push them if need be. Now, of course, I wouldn't want them to because they're sitting right on top of the decal, exactly where I need them, but I want to make sure that I have my spacing right. So I'm going to get my Tanzanite filler kit. I'll most likely be using SS3 or SS4. I don't think that space is big enough for SS6. So we'll just drop some glue right inside. I'm going to spread it with the tweezers. Now I know for sure I won't be able to get anything like right in this point here, but I know that the closest I can get is going to be an SS3. So I'll grab my SS3 or glue my SS3, whatever you want to call it, and I'll drop that right here. Pushing these stones out as far as I'm comfortable with, because like I said, I don't want it to really push it off of the decal, but I would love for it to get as close in that corner as possible. Because SS3, and I might actually fit an SS6 in here. SS4, because of course the space is just getting naturally wider. Grab an SS6. Yep. And then right behind that SS6 there's another small space. I'm gonna grab an SS3 and try and fit it in there, and hopefully this works. And I think we got it. What you want to do after you put the stones in, just make sure that they are for sure flat, because you did do some pushing around. Just make sure that they're flat, get everything in place, because once this glue dries, it is quite difficult to move the stone again. Alright, so that is that. I'm most likely going to do that for every loop here. And then I'll also do it like, I know I'm going to do this off the screen, but once I get up to the crown and the rest of the queen, I'm going to do that as well. Typically I don't do that. If the space is big like this, I probably won't do this bigger space. But when it comes to these loops and these really small spaces here, I definitely want to get that done as early as possible.
Even if things hard, or if things hard.
Alright, so the filigree is done and I am loving how it looks right now. And this is the queen. Now, of course, it wasn't that quick. If only. We only wish that we could just snap our fingers and it could be done that quick. But nonetheless, the decal is now done. I am kind of wishing that I would have used a silver backing instead of white for the decal. I just feel like it would have, I guess, meshed or flowed better with the clear rhinestones, but I still think it looks good, and it'll all come together once I put the main stone on the cup, which is what we are about to get into right now. The main stone that we are using for this cup is going to be the 4mm. I am not going to do the whole cup on screen, but I am going to do quite a few lines with you, and we're going to start with the line at the top. Now, how I work is I'll typically flip my cup upside down, just like so. I'll start at the top and I'll work my way to the bottom. And the reason for that is because the main focus when you're using any of your tumblers or whatever, it's really the top of the cup. Of course you don't want the bottom to look ugly or what have you, but if the bottom is made with filler stones, or if you have to drill down stones that hang over the edge, it's easier, or excuse me, I think it looks better on the eyes to have that type of fix at the bottom as opposed to at the top. Now, how I did this, I know you saw me spray painted purple, but then I also covered that spray paint in a layer of clear matte, because the purple is actually a gloss paint, and I just do not like adhering anything to glossy surfaces. I don't care how much the glue says you can put this on a glossy surface and it won't come up, blah blah blah, whatever. Me personally, I know that a mechanical bond is more likely to happen on a surface that is matte, dry, anything like that, as opposed to glossy where it has some type of sheen that stuff typically will just roll off of or peel right off of. So yes, I spray painted this purple, but because that purple was a gloss finish, I then covered it in a clear matte, and both of those products were Rustoleum spray paints. So first thing we're going to do is put our base line. You want to make sure that your starting line is completely straight. If you start your line crooked, it will continue down the entirety of the whole cup. So my glue bottle is a little empty. I need to refill it, but we'll get to that. I'll get to that afterwards. Alright, so starting with the first line here, I'm just going to put some glue. And what I typically like to do is I will put the stone on, but I'll let it hang over the edge a little bit. So if you can see there, it's a little bit over the edge. I'll let it hang over the edge because what I do at the end is I actually just set the cup down, top down on the table, to make sure that I get my straight line.
You're whining plenty, don't need no plenty. Don't want no makeup cover, that girl you want it sweaty. Bite your lip, shake your hip, take me down, bite your lip, move your hip, take me down. This is a violent thing, it's a silent thing, straight face and no smiling.
So now now that we've reached all the way around, now I'm going to make sure that I have everything spaced out how I want it to. One of the things I am learning, especially on tapered cups, even though I know this is skinny, but one of the things I'm learning when it comes to the honeycomb pattern is that it's really all about spacing, right? So technically, if I had squeezed all of these together, there would have been a very, very small space between the first stone and the last stone that I did. And like, I used to just fill it with a filler stone and went like that. But then I realized that if I just space everything out and give the space between each stone like an equal distance, I won't have to use a filler. And I just think that looks so much better, especially on skinny cups where you don't have to use a filler, you just use all the one stone, except around the decal, of course. But yeah, so now that that's done, I just literally take it like this, and I'll take my finger and I'm pressing it down. I'm pressing down on the stone. I know you can't see, but I'm pressing down on the stone, but I'm also pressing in. So I'm making sure that I'm pressing it on the glue. But I'm also pressing down to make sure that everything is level and that my beginning line is straight. So I will do this around the entire cup. And then what I do to check it is, I'll usually hold it up to me like this, but so that you guys can see, I'll just look around the edge and I'll see where all the stones are and make sure that every stone I see is at that same level, right? So from what I'm seeing here, everything is good. Piece of glue. But yeah, what I'm seeing here, everything is good. Every stone is where it's supposed to be. So I'm actually going to let this sit for like a minute or two, just to give the glue time to really set, so that when I move on to my next line, I won't end up shifting any of the stones on my first line. And if you notice the bottom of my tumbler here, there was some overspray from the spray paint. I don't touch this until the very end. So once the cup is full and done with its stones, even the decal, and the cup is completely finished, I'll just take some acetone and wipe off all of the overspray, and you'll just get the clear silver bottom. The reason I do that is because I don't want to wipe it off and then I end up wiping where stones are going to be. Now, I don't come over this edge, right, but I still don't want to possibly go up too far. And having the stones there after finishing the cup is what makes sure that I don't go up too far. So, I'm going to let this sit for a minute and I will be back. Alright, so I have let this dry for a few minutes, maybe like 5-ish minutes. Now that I'm about to work on the body of the cup, I have taken the tip off of my precision tip bottle because I'm going to be spreading the glue a lot more now. So when I work on my skinny tumblers, and even I've started doing this with my tapered tumblers, when I work on the tumbler, I move up and over. I don't know if I do this because it's a psychological thing, and I think that makes me feel like I'm working faster instead of doing one line at a time, but I like to move up and over. So, and I always start over the decal, but you can really just start wherever you want. I just spread an area of glue. And I know how fast and how slow I work, so I know how big or how small I can make my area. And I never want to make it too big because, I mean, the glue obviously once it comes out of the bottle and starts hitting the air, it starts drying. And you don't want to be basically wasting glue by putting glue on the tumbler and then all of a sudden it's dry by the time you get to it. Right? So you just put a nice area of glue. You don't want it, again, I'll keep saying this, you don't want it to be too thick. You don't want to over glue the tumbler. You want to just put enough that your stones are going to stick. But then also, if you're doing a large area like this, you don't want to make it too thin, because if you do that, then it'll dry quickly. You have to find like a nice medium. But anyways, you put your area of glue and then just start putting on your stones. And it's honeycomb pattern. It's my favorite pattern. It's just very simple, but it's also very neat. And you just add your stones. Now what does end up happening, of course, and I'll get to this after I finish this section, is you're putting the stone, or excuse me, you put the area of glue, but of course you don't know exactly where the stones are going to lay. You're kind of just guesstimating the spot, and you might not have enough glue, excuse me, you might have over glued the area. So I'll like go back and I'll make sure that I'll glue extra. Like what I'll end up doing at the end is I'll come back here and make an extra line, and I'll make it neat and make sure I don't over glue, and I'll put enough glue to put each stone here. Because when I come back around, because I still work in a circle, I just move up and over. Because what'll happen is that the glue will dry, and then it'll cause a problem when I eventually get back around to that side of the cup and I go to try and put a stone there. There'll be dry glue, I'll have to take up the glue, it's a whole thing. I just don't want to go through that.
All you feel is joke I'm making. I don't want to hate on love, but sometimes I keep debating. She say she only lover, she only friend. Make a wish.
That is that. I am going to now, I'll put my tip back on my bottle, which I need to put more glue in. I promise I'll get to that in a second. Okay, so tip back on my bottle. I will put some glue here, and it doesn't have to be a lot. Once I put the stone on the glue, it'll spread out. I'll put glue there, I'll put glue here, put 3 stones there, and then even though I am about to come over and put more stones here, I'm gonna put glue here. Right. This looks weird. Give me a second. Just pay attention to your spacing. When the glue is wet, the stones can shift. So like as you're gluing and the glue is wet and you're putting your stones down, gravity, as you're like holding the cup like this or you're holding like this, however, gravity could cause your stones to shift. So just make sure that you're paying attention to that. because if you don't catch it early, it'll cause issues later down the road. All right, so that is the first little section. And I think this is going to be a really pretty cup. For sure, for sure. All right, so you know how it goes. We are about to speed this up. And I'm just going to do this first line here. And I'll be back in a little bit.
Real woman don't mean have your hair do. Pretty nails and shoes don't mean you have 2, 3 man where you spend pan you. Woman you confused, real woman have them bang book. And we don't make excuse. If all you have is sexy alone, you're bound to lose. So let me tell you about real woman. Don't do anything for a like on the gram. Let me tell you about real woman. Own house, own car, own land. Let me tell you about real woman. Boss up now, take charge of your man. Let me tell you about real woman. Tell them this your song. Put your hand in the air, yeah, yeah, yeah. Walk out, shout out, yeah, 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 yeah. If you know what you're about. Hand in the air, yeah, yeah, yeah. Walk out, shout out, yeah, 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 yeah. Oh Lord, keep doing the most. It's my money spent, can't spend it to boast. Keep doing the most. It's my money spent, I can't spend it to boast.
She tell me as a waste man. She say as a dog, I know. She screenshot all we text, put me up on the net. Now my whole family life mash up. She tell me as a waste man. I stick to the dog, I know. She tell Lala she friends, put me up on the net. Come on, how will you stop tell lies on me? 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 Now just open your eyes and see. How will you open your eyes and see? This girl she crazy, too crazy for me. Boy, dirty bad mind don't like we on the road, you know. Don't like when we buy expensive clothes, you know. I go party, let me party. Backstage general or VIP. Party don't stop, can't sober. Ready to go home? No stop, hold on. Fed mash up, no stop drink and I must catch up. Hold on. From the time I touch, 1 gal, 10 gal, not enough. Hold on. Trini love the party. We go pay but we love it when it's free. Good food and drinks in a cooler. Put the party on my shoulder. Cause we outside from long time, yeah. No vibes, yeah, yeah, yeah. All night, yeah, yeah. Cause we outside from long time, yeah. No vibes, yeah, yeah, yeah. All night, yeah. Watch me good, we knock a bottle, we knock a bottle, we knock a bottle, knock a bottle, knock a bottle. Touch dance, cash trouble. Things nice when the girl them bubbling. We knock a bottle, we knock a bottle, we knock a bottle, knock a bottle, knock a bottle. Touch dance, cash trouble. Things nice when the girl them bubbling, bubbling, bubbling.
Wow! Second star, watch how she walking and that thing just jiggling her.
I like it, I like it. It's brand new, but I like it, I like it.
Big bumper.
Gigi, these ladies. Question, yeah.
Where you come from with that big bumper?
Which one?
Where you come from with that big bumper? Trinidad must have a rich doctor. This lady, 'cause where you come from with that big bumper?
Who pay for that bam bam day? 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 Big money spent on a bam bam day. Who pay for that bam bam day? Who pay for that bam bam day? Who pay for that bam bam day?
Sunday.
I don't give a damn if it real. I don't give a damn if it fake. All I want you to do is just roll it up on me. I don't give a damn if it buy. I just want that bumper be mine. I want you bend over and just roll, girl. And every time I roll it for me, girl, you make my ball oh.
So the first section or lines, whatever you want to call it, are done. And everything is looking good. Now I just want to notate a few things that you might have seen me do when I was working. I was gonna stop and speak over the fast video, but I figured I'd just cover everything at the end. So I know one thing you saw me do when I put the tip back on the bottle. You saw me take my tweezers and go in like this. What I'm doing is just cleaning out the dried glue here at the top, right? So once you use the tip and it's now just like you take it off to just use the bottle, the glue in the tip is now drying. But what I find is that it dries from here and down. So if you just take your precision tip tweezers, run it right along the inside, it really just, and pull out, you know, what you're running your tweezers along, obviously, but run it along the inside and pull out the dried glue. Your tip is now clear to use again. What you may end up having to do if you like continue on your bottle and you don't need the tip anymore, you can use one of the sewing needle pins. I bought a pack of these from Joann's. Honestly, I forget how much it cost, but like plenty come in the pack. But you can probably survive on like one or two. And you can just stick it down in there, push the glue out, clean out the tip. It's just another way to clean your tip, right? So that was one thing you saw me do. Another thing you saw me do is as I was working, you'd see me go like this along the stones. What I'm doing is when the glue is wet, like I said, gravity tends to make the stone shift a little bit. That, and then it also has to do with your spacing on the cup. But when the glue is wet and you just go like this, all the stones will move at once, and that's really just me moving the stones back into place and making sure that everything is how it's supposed to be. What you'll also need to make sure as you're moving along is, like I said, spacing. I think I was somewhere in this general area where the spacing was messing up as I was going along. So you saw me flip my tool around using this edge and just moving everything back into proper place. But that's another reason why you want to make sure that your tumbler is spray painted a color similar to your stone, because even though this is honeycomb, it does need to be spaced out a little bit, because if they're packed too tight, like I said, you would have needed a filler and it would have just caused this whole thing. So mine is spaced out just a little bit, but I have this purple color behind my stones because now you really can't tell. So like I said, I was just going to stay on for this one section. I don't like to rush myself when it comes to the rhinestone tumblers. Most likely I will do about half of the cup today. I will do the next half tomorrow. So I'll do up to about this point. Let me zoom out a little bit so you can see the whole cup. Or most of the whole cup. Can I get the whole cup? Sorry, that's my other phone. All right, so I'll probably go up to about here, which is about half. Tomorrow I'll do the next half. And then I always save going around the decal. I always save that for later. That is like literally the last thing I do. So by the time I come back, it'll probably be like 3 days later, but for you guys, it'll just be a couple seconds, but I'll be back. So one thing that I want to touch on while I finish out the rest of this tumbler is a topic that I see a lot of times in groups that are, you know, heavily focused on blinging and rhinestoning tumblers and other products. And that is, how do I price my tumbler, right? So, and I completely understand why this is such a heavy topic. It's because there's so many factors that go into pricing your tumbler. You have to consider the type of rhinestone that you're using, the type of spray paint that you're using, your vinyl, your glue. You have to pay yourself. Like, there's so many factors, and a lot of times it can get confusing. So I'm hoping that by touching on this topic today, I'll be able to, I guess, give you like a stepping stone or a building block, you know, something to get you on the way to pricing out your tumblers, how it best fits your business. Because you also have to consider the area and the market that you are living in and trying to attract. Not everyone can sell a $250 rhinestone tumbler where they live. You know what I'm saying? So what I'm going to give you is the prices for my tumblers, and then I'm also going to break down how much I charge for a simple 20-ounce skinny, just so you can see where I got my pricing from, right? So originally, when I was in some Facebook group, and I forget which one it was, someone asked the question and someone responded that you should charge $5 per ounce when doing a rhinestone tumbler. So that means if you're doing a 20-ounce tumbler, you do $5 times your 20 ounce, and that's $100 for your tumbler. And it made sense, so that's just what I went with. And it seemed like a fair price, and I mean, it works. But eventually what I did was I actually sat down and put in an Excel sheet the cost breakdown, like how much it's costing me for everything it takes to make the tumbler. And I had to make sure that that $100 made sense. And yes, it still made sense. However, for 2022 and moving forward, I've actually adjusted my prices a bit just to accommodate the changes that I've had to go through. And then another thing I want to make mention of, and by all means, run your business exactly how you see fit. But one of my friends mentioned to me that you can't really charge a customer for something they're not consuming, right? So if I sit here and it takes me 14 hours to gem a tumbler, I'm not going to say, well, let me figure out how to charge my customer 14 hours worth of my light bill. Like, they did not consume the light, I did. Stuff like that is why we have tax write-offs as legitimate businesses. You know what I'm saying? Only charge them what they're actually consuming. So let me first tell you what my prices are for my tumblers, right? So I typically sell skinny tumblers and dome tumblers. My 20-ounce skinny is $110. My 30-ounce skinny is $160. My 20-ounce dome is $140. And my 30-ounce dome is $190, right? What I also charge for is $20 per additional color, right? So those prices I originally gave you, that is what I charge for a simple base color, and simple means crystal AB, crystal, or jet black, and a decal in any color you want. So if someone decides, well, I want to order a 20-ounce skinny, I want my name in jet black. I want a 20-ounce skinny with crystal AB stones. I want my name in jet black, but I'd like a purple heart on the back. I charge an extra $20 for that purple heart, right? And then I also charge if the main stone on the tumbler is anything outside of crystal, crystal AB, or jet black, right? So again, someone orders a 20-ounce tumbler, but they want their tumbler to be capri blue. I would charge the $110 base price, and then I would add an additional $20 for their base color being Capri Blue. So that would be $130, and it would still include their name, right? The next thing that I charge for is intricate designs. So I am my own walking advertisement, right? I have about 8 or 9 different rhinestone tumblers, and I have a next one already in the making because I need to be a walking billboard. And one of my favorite tumblers that I walk around with is a gorgeous 30-ounce light pink AB skinny tumbler. It has my name on it in jet black, and then it has leopard spots kind of wrapping around the side of the tumbler, and it's absolutely gorgeous. It is. And when people ask me how much I charge for it, I tell them $250 without blinking an eye, right? Because not only is it a 30-ounce tumbler, so that's more surface area that I have to cover in rhinestones. Light pink AB is an expensive stone. I don't know what it is about the color pink, but pink stones are by far the most expensive glass rhinestones that I've come across, aside from opal, right? So my main color on that tumbler is light pink AB, and then inside of each I guess leopard spot is filled with fuchsia. Again, that is a pink stone. It costs to bring that stone in, and I broke it down one day just for myself so I can see how much like I really would have to pay to, how much I would have, because I did it for myself. I wasn't paying attention when I bought the stones, but like how much it would cost me to do for another person. And just in rhinestones alone, getting the stones in to do that tumbler, $83 just in rhinestones alone, right? So that doesn't include the spray paint, it doesn't include the vinyl, it doesn't include my time. So that's why, I mean, $250, and that'll cover also the amount of time it takes to do that tumbler, because leopard spots are not quick. That is a lot of filler stones, especially doing the actual black part and then filling it in with the fuchsia and then going around it with more filler stones of the main stone color. It just, all of that is, again, it's stuff that you have to take into consideration when you are charging for your tumblers, right? So anyways, that's how much I charge for my tumblers. Those are my prices, right? So let me break down for you where I kind of came up with those prices. I'm just going to break down the 20-ounce skinny where I came up with that price, right? So crystal AB, and jet black are actually the cheapest stones that you can bring in, whether it be in the 10 gross bags or the bulk 100 gross bags. It's why those are my base colors, and it's why, like, you can choose either one of those colors for your base and the price really wouldn't change, right? So I get my tumblers from the Stainless Steel Depot. A 20-ounce skinny costs $5.95 there, right? So that's the cost of my tumbler. When it comes to the cost of my rhinestones, I purchase my rhinestones in bulk from Alibaba. I buy them in 100 gross bags, and I only use glass stones from one particular supplier. So when I break down how much it costs me to do a tumbler, it's $5.12. Now, just a quick note here, when you're working on a 20-ounce skinny tumbler in a honeycomb pattern, you need approximately 28 gross to do the tumbler. Now, if you're adding a decal, of course, that goes down a little bit, but regardless, I would say if you're about to work on a 20-ounce tumbler in a honeycomb pattern, always make sure you get at least 28 gross. So essentially get 3 10 gross bags. Okay. So anyways, $5.12 for my main rhinestone to cover the bulk of the tumbler, right? But we're doing a decal. So because we're doing a decal, we're going to need filler stones of that main color. And right now we're talking about Crystal AB. So my fillers are SS3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 10, and 12. That's 7 different colors that I have, 7 different sizes that I have to bring in, and that's about $12, right? So that's my main color fillers. Now for the decal, I need fillers for that. That's another 7 sizes that I have to bring in. That's a next $12, right? For the glue, I work out of the Aleene's 4-ounce bottles, and you can't really quantify how much glue you're using to pass on that cost to the customer. So I just charge $1. And then same thing for the vinyl. You can try to quantify, okay, well, I use this much square inches out of a sheet or out of a roll of vinyl. I don't go through all that. I just charge $1, right? So when you add all that up, you're looking at $36.45 worth of just material alone, right? And so again, we're working on a 20-ounce skinny. I charge $110. When you take out how much it costs for my materials, I'm left with $74 in profit, 74 and change in profit, right? But then that 74 in profit, not only does it pay me, it also covers the cost of shipping and shipping supplies, right? So on my website, I don't charge for shipping over $75. So if someone orders a Rhinestone Tumbler, it ships to them for free. Shipping for one tumbler is typically about $8, right? I also have to charge for the box it gets shipped in, the custom tape on the box, the label on the box, and then I have 2 inserts that I put inside my packages. One is a coupon for a percentage off of future purchase, and then the next one is a social media card. So say someone purchases something from me from YouTube, that social media card, it gives them an opportunity to now follow me on Instagram and Facebook and TikTok, you know, all of that. So let's just say that that is another $4, right? So we had a $74 profit. We now have $12 more in expenses. So that brings me down to $62. Now I'm at $62 in profit. Now I still haven't even paid myself. Now I don't actually have a set per hour that I pay myself for the work that I do. I actually, because my business is still so very new, any money that comes in from a customer automatically goes right back into my business. So that $62 is put right back into buying more rhinestones or purchasing something for my DIY Bling Kits, or, you know, buying more tumblers to have on hand, anything like that. Eventually, I'll probably get to a place where I can say, okay, well, I'm going to pay myself $15 an hour to do my tumblers, and I'll just incorporate that into my costs, or incorporate that into the amount that I'm charging my customers, right? But basically, I mean, that's my breakdown, right? So as the cups change, of course, the prices change. The glue, I only knock it up to like $1.25 for the 30-ounce cups or the cups with the dome style lids. Also for the cups with the dome style lids, the reason the price is a $30 jump is because there's more rhinestones that goes into doing the lids, right? So I've mapped it out and done it before. My kits that were originally for 20-ounce skinny tumblers, that same amount of stones could cover the body of a 20-ounce dome tumbler, but you still needed more stones to do the lid. And because I know that you need at least one more bag of your main stone, if you do the lids like I do, you need one more bag of SS12 stones. That's why, and then of course the extra time that it takes to do the lid, that's why I charge the extra $30. Because of time and because of the additional stones needed, right? The only other thing that I want to touch on before I let you guys go is your pricing should also be considerate of the type of stone you're using, and one other thing, but let me touch that first. So I prefer to use glass stones. I just feel that it has a better look and a higher shine than acrylic or resin, right? I have literally done a resin tumbler and I did a glass tumbler, and when I put them next to one another, I could completely see the difference, and I just wanted to do the resin tumbler all over again. I just wanted to strip it and do it all over again, but I was told not to, so I didn't. The resin and acrylic stones are actually I don't want to call it cheaper, but I mean, that's what they are. They're a cheaper stone. They're cheaper to manufacture, so they cost less to buy. And I feel like when you're pricing out your tumblers, that should be considered in your pricing. Again, run your business how you want to, but if I was using resin stones, I would probably knock my price down by about $20 or so. If we go on the opposite end, and let's say I was using Swarovski crystals or Preciosa crystals, I would definitely bump my price up because those are significantly more expensive. And they look they look better than glass. They cost more than glass, and therefore I would charge more because I would be using that stone. But I feel like glass is my happy medium, and I like using glass rhinestones for my tumblers. The other thing that I can suggest, if you're still a little confused, I guess, about how to price your tumblers or what's needed to price your tumblers, I know sometimes it is suggested to go on Etsy and see what people are charging in your area, or see what people are charging on Etsy, or you can even do it on Facebook Marketplace or what have you. But I would say be a little wary of that, right? Because there's really two different types of people who sell on Etsy. There are people who are on there because they're running a business and they're trying to make a profit by selling their handmade goods. And then there are people on there who do this as a hobby, and their main goal is really just to get their recoup their costs, right? So those who are on there to recoup their costs, they might have a 20-ounce skinny tumbler on there, and it would cost, they're charging like $70 or $80, right? And you might feel, well, I have to be their competition and I have to be cheaper than them, so I'm gonna charge $65. Now you're cutting yourself short, especially if you're someone who buys your stones from Amazon. Buying your stones off Amazon is expensive. And if you're only charging $60 for your stones, you are losing money, right? So I wouldn't base my prices on stuff like that. But then you have the people who are not, there's two types of people running a business now. You have the people who actually care about the quality of their product. And then you have the people who are running a business, but they feel that just because they're doing rhinestone tumblers, they can charge whatever they want. So I follow people, a couple people on Instagram who are phenomenal at jimming tumblers. And literally I would pay whatever the price they ask me if I were to order a tumbler from them, because that is how impeccable their work looks. And you can find those type of people on Etsy, and they're the ones who would charge. I mean, I kind of want to put myself in that group because I care about my work, but I know I still have stuff to learn. But they charge like me. So they'll charge $200 for a 30-ounce tumbler, you know, because the price matches the work. But then you'll have others on Etsy who are charging like, I'll charge you $400 and $500 simply because I'm doing rhinestones, but the spacing on their rhinestones is crap. And they're using ridiculously huge rhinestones simply to fill in space, right? And it looks like they're using a freaking SS40 stone simply because they wanted to finish the project quickly by using a larger stone. And that's exactly what the project looks like, but they're charging $400 and someone's gonna buy it because they don't know any better. You don't want to be that person, right? You want your price to match your work, and you don't want to sell yourself short. And I don't want to make it more confusing for you, but all of this has to be taken into consideration when you're pricing out your tumblers. So I do hope that it helped. If you have any questions about anything that I said, definitely feel free to ask me. I never mind answering questions. Like, it's kind of why I'm here, right? So we're all in this together. I want you to succeed just as much as I want me to succeed, and we can't all succeed if we're not helping one another. So I hope that helped. Let's get back to this tumbler. So really quick, I just want to show you guys, this is the amount of stones that I have left over after doing just the body of the cup. And I haven't done the 3 lines yet, but this is the amount of stones that I have left over. The reason why there's this much left over is because we did a decal, right? So we have a decal and it's taking up space on the tumbler. However, if you were just doing one color straight down the tumbler, you likely would not have this much left. You probably wouldn't have anywhere near it left because there are enough stones in the kit to do a 20-ounce tumbler. And there might be like 5, maybe 10 left over because everything is done by weight. So, you know, the amount in there fluctuates, but I never go under the weight that it's supposed to be. I would go over, so there would be extra stones, but there would never be less than enough stones to get your 20-ounce tumbler done. But I just wanted to show you how much stones was left over after doing the body of the cup. Okay, so I have gone through and I've kind of just filled in everywhere where the main stone would fit around the decals, because I just wanted to, I don't want everything that's around my decals to be smaller stones. I really want it to flow well together with the body of the cup, which is why I brought this line in, I brought a couple down, I brought some up here around the bottom of the filigree, and as I'm going through and filling this out, I'm sure I'm going to be using more of the SS16 stones, but I wanted to get that out of the way first so that I'm really just concentrating and pulling from my filler tray. Now, I'm not going to fill up the whole thing with you here on screen. I am going to do right here, I'm going to fill in with you guys around the crown and this top part of the queue. and then I'll fill in the rest off camera, and I'll just come in once this is all said and done. One thing that I did notice, and I thought it was just my eyes, I thought it was a issue with the production of the stones, but it's not. It was just that I was sent the wrong color. So this stone here and this stone here, this is SS10, this is SS6. They're different color stones, and I didn't really realize until I put it on the cup, and I figured I'd just flow with it, but it's starting to kind of like, I can really tell that there's a difference, and I am going to do the best that I can not to use those two sizes while I'm filling this in, because I don't want this to be filled in and it be a bunch of different colors from the rest of the cup. The point of the filler stones is to just fill in the space where the main stone, fill in the space where the main stone can't fit, but still look the same as the main stone, you know? So I won't be using those two sizes, or I'll try my best not to use those two sizes, even though they're like important, but neither here nor there. Let's get started. During this time, you will see me switch a lot between the wax pickup pin and my tweezers. Like I said, when I'm using my filler stones, I like to pick them up with the tweezers, so it's easier for me. And as always, I mean, if you're putting a stone and you find that it doesn't fit, just take it up and put the right size. Just make sure that there is glue back in that spot. Sometimes the glue stays, sometimes it just all comes up. Just make sure that you have glue in that spot, or the next stone will not stick.
Already bad girl section there. Vibes can move the cloth and work. I got a few smallies and a few fat things. So you know the road I get flattening. Smallies I feel the enjoyment. Fat thing them full of excitement. So me love them. Girl with the big bumper. Heavy like a Toyota Tundra. Even if you're maga like a Honda. 55. Somebody bad girl section there. Already bad girl section there. Already bad girl section there. Good girl move the cloth and work. Already bad girl section there. Already bad girl section there. Already bad girl section there. Vibes can move the cloth and work. This is the land of festival. This is the home of carnival. This is the rhythm that we know. It's the lover and for you. This is the colors that we see. This is you and this is me. This is the fitting capital. In the sweetest bacchanal. It's true. Feel it all over when soca take over. You feeling
reaction from nobody. No, no, sir. No. On your body. Oh, 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 oh. Confidence and sex appeal. Every now I catch a feel. The way I bounce and stick it and whip the bumper right there. Right there. Eyes above, believe me. And tonight this woman gon' wind up, yeah. My work just a line up, yeah. And of course they need me. Cause every time I throw my behind up, yeah. My work just a line up, yeah. Walk out for them. Walk out for them. All my ladies, walk out for them. I wine and give them confidence. Walk out for them. Walk out for them. Sexy ladies, we come out for them. I wine and give them confidence.
Calling you champion girl, champion girl. Watch how you clean and watch how you lean it. Action time, girl, stop on the scene. Somebody calling you champion girl, champion girl. Everybody clap when they see you. Everybody clap when they see you. And they say it's my pleasure. Hi, so nice to meet you. Judge book by. So let me read you. You're educated, you're so blessed. In your life, girl, I wanna invest. Cause all the man never chat for you. You will never tell crew. And every time you're passing through, one thing they bound to know. Somebody calling you champion girl, champion girl. Watch how you clean and watch how you lean it. Action time, girl, stop on the scene. Somebody calling you champion girl, champion girl. Everybody clap when they see you. Everybody clap when they see you. Girl, you're good, and for that I gave you the ring and never taken back. Hey, hey, I met a nice young lady, mixed with pretty and crazy, in a sweet soca banner. Ooh yeah, I say would you take me? Live till we all and we 80. I will always be a man for a lifetime. I wanna be the man for you. I will never let you go, baby. And the right sign is when I take a wine on you. I'll confirm if love is true, baby. Just take a wine on me. Just a wine, I say. I need to know if I got a chance with you. Take a wine on me. Just a wine, I say. I need to know if this love is true.
Oh Lord, Lord, oh no, no, no. Hey, turn, wah, wee. Rum cool me fever, my head they hangover. I didn't have no money, lost me wallet, me ID. People start laughing the way I was dancing. I didn't have no worries. One thing I know, they shortly I come to play, to break away. I didn't have nobody. Rum was my only shot. I was down there, friends disappeared. I didn't have nobody. Rum was my only shot.
You're listening. You're listening to Oasis Sounds.
You know I love you, girl. Yeah, and I hope you feel it mutual. Special, darling, good morning. It's time to.
All right, so that is the process that I go through filling in around my decals. Now I know when I was zoomed in, it looked crazy. You could see all the gaps and stuff like that. I really try not to study that while I'm working on filling around my decals, because I know that on the whole, when this is done, it's gonna look amazing. So that's it for around the crown. This whole not using SS10 and SS6 is really kind of getting to me, because there were spots where it would fit perfectly, but instead of doing that, I had to use like a SS4, or I had to try and space a SS8 like in the middle of wherever it was going. But I think I'll be able to make it work. So I am going to complete out the rest of filling in around Queen and the filigree, and then when I come back, you will see the finished product. She is done. She is done, and I think she looks great. I think everything came together quite nicely. Definitely feel free to give your feedback in the comments. I take all criticism, constructive or otherwise. I take it all because I always want to make sure that I'm improving so that I can help others improve as well. There's only two things that I probably would have changed about how I did this cup. One is the base color. I would have done a darker purple for my base. I think it would have just filled in the gaps a lot better. And then two, as I've mentioned earlier, for the decal, I would have done a silver vinyl instead of white. And again, I just think that it would have filled in better behind the crystal clear rhinestones. But let me just zoom in here on the decal. So you can see all the filler stones used around the decal. Like I said, my filler trays are typically filled, my filler trays are always filled with SS3 to SS16. And the only ones that I couldn't use for filling in around the decal was the SS6 and the SS10, because unfortunately my supplier did make a mistake and send me the wrong colors. So I am actually going to get that fixed in the Tanzanite kit. I'm going to look to get that fixed as soon as possible. But guys, that is it. That is how to rhinestone a skinny tumbler. If you have any questions, if you have any comments, if you have any concerns, anything like that, definitely feel free to send me a message. You can DM me on Instagram, Facebook. I have my phone number and contact information that I keep in the description of my videos. And definitely check out my DIY Bling Kit. Like I said, everything I used to create this cup is in the Bling Kit. So our Tanzanite kit has enough stones to complete a 20-ounce skinny, and I can actually show you right now like how much stones was left over from working on this tumbler. So this is what's left over in the filler tray kit. Now, we didn't use as much fillers, obviously, because we only had the small decal, so there wasn't a lot of filler stones needed. But if ever you're working on a tumbler and you are putting on I don't know, you put on cheetah spots where you need a lot of stones to fill in or what have you, I can guarantee you there is more than enough stones in here. And then this is what's left over from the main stone, which is a typical amount because, like I said, what's in here is enough to do a 20-ounce skinny, right? Or you can do the body of a 20-ounce dome tumbler. Just know that you would need to purchase additional stones to do the top of the dome tumbler. And I do sell the Tanzanite colors in individual packs in size SS16, SS12, and SS10. And eventually I will be bringing in the rest of the sizes. So SS8, SS6, SS4, and SS3. Okay, and then don't forget your kit, of course, also comes with your precision tip bottle that comes with 2 tips and a stopper. It comes with the Aleene's Liquid Fusion, a 2-ounce bottle. It comes with your precision tip tweezers and your wax pickup pen. Now, the kit does come in other colors. It comes in a jet black, and I can actually show you right now a tumbler that I did using the jet black kit. So this is the tumbler that I did with the jet black kit and our crystal AB stacker. And yes, I measured out everything and I made sure that this decal, this intricate decal that uses so many of the smaller stones, I made sure that there was enough stones that I made sure that when I used the kit that I measured out so that I was being accurate. And there was enough stones left over after doing this to do this type of detailed decal at least 2 more times. So that'll let you know like how many stones are really in your stacker. And then this is the jet black. And it's one of the Stainless Steel Depot calls it a slurp. So it has a different type of lid than your typical skinny. Okay, so the kit comes in Tanzanite, jet black, and then of course, grabbing another tumbler here, the original Crystal AB. And then at the time that this video is being posted to YouTube, I am in the process of introducing a new kit. Our next kit is going to be the Crystal kit. So you'll be able to make a tumbler like this. And then I'll also be introducing at the same time our gold rhinestone stacker. Okay, so the stacker will now be coming in jet black, crystal clear, Crystal AB, and gold. And I'm also going to be making a Tanzanite stacker. Next, we're going to be introducing the Capri Blue and the Light Cyan stacker. And then we're just going to keep adding colors after that. I am a little on the fence about introducing the actual kits in more colors, like, you know, doing a pink kit or a blue kit or what have you. But that's something that we'll touch later down the line. But as of right now, these are the colors of the kits that I have available. And again, I'll continue to say it. If you have any questions, please just reach out to me. I am generally almost always available. Everything comes to my phone, and I almost always have my phone in my hand. So I'll definitely reach out to you guys. And then I am now just going to show you what the Tanzanite tumbler looks like in the sun, because when the sun hits these stones, it is just absolutely gorgeous. Alright, so enjoy this video, enjoy the pictures. You guys have a wonderful day, and I'll see you for the next tutorial. Bye! Before I let you go, I just want to show you guys, because I forgot, if you remember when we spray painted the tumbler, the bottom of the tumbler got covered in overspray, and I told you I was going to show you how I deal with that. So literally all I did was take some acetone. It's the acetone from the blue tin can that you can get at like Walmart or Home Depot or Lowe's, whichever store you decide to go to. And I just wiped off the bottom. If you have a particular, I guess, cleaning agent that you find gets off spray paint from services better, definitely feel free to use that. I just prefer to use acetone. And I just wiped all around the bottom area until I got my smooth circle, right? And then I also removed that silver sticker that Hog puts on the bottom of their tumblers. I really believe it's just to cover this little dip here in the middle, but it's unnecessary for this tumbler, and plus it was coming up as I was wiping off with the acetone. And then what I did is I left that small little lip that you see of spray paint, I left that at the bottom. And the reason is because when you're using the tumbler, I just feel that had this been silver, it would have looked a little weird next to the rhinestones. And so I'd rather just keep the color there. It's another reason why I thought that a darker purple would look nice as an afterthought, but I think that this purple looks fine, and I'm not really studying it too much because on the whole, the cup still looks amazing. I do want to let you guys know that at the time of this video being posted, this tumbler is for sale. It is available on my website. It is under the ready to ship section, and this tumbler is going for $120. If you would like to purchase it, definitely feel free to click the link in the description of this video, and the tumbler will ship out, if not the same day, within 24 hours. Thank you.
Like that.